This is the CL5 Premium. Is it worth your money? Let's find out.
We have reviewed the CL5 Dynamic, the more affordable variant of the CL5. This one over here is the top spec CL5 Premium. Now the CL5 Premium has a lot of upgrades over the CL5 Dynamic, but a few of those upgrades are visible on the outside. It looks very similar to the Dynamic, save for the wheels. This gets bigger 17-inch wheels, while the Dynamic gets smaller 16s. The CL5 Premium is about the same price as the top-of-the-line Vios, so it's easy to think of it as a subcompact sedan, but it's actually longer than the Toyota Altis. It's actually a compact-sized sedan with a subcompact price tag. Like the CL5 Dynamic, you get these LED headlamps over here. You get power folding side mirrors, which you don't get on the CL5 Dynamic. You don't have any roof rails up here. You get the smart locking system. Now, a lot of the upgrades to the CL5 Premium can be found underneath the skin. Let's check out what's under the hood. So like the CL5 Dynamic, the CL5 Premium also features BYD's DMI system, which is basically a plug-in hybrid system. Like the CL5 Dynamic, this also has a 1.5-liter gasoline engine, but the total power output of the CL5 Premium is higher. It has 197 horsepower and 325 Newton meters of torque. Now, it's called a plug-in hybrid because you can plug it into a power outlet to charge the battery. Now, you have your fuel filler here on the left side, and you have your charging port on the other side. Well, like the CL5 Dynamic, the CL5 Premium also only supports AC charging. So there is no quick charging option for the CL5, which means that it'll take a couple of hours to fully charge the battery. But at the price, I'm not going to complain about that. It is the most affordable plug-in hybrid vehicle that you can buy. So this has an 18.3 kilowatt-hour battery, which is located on the flooring of the vehicle. This has an EV range of 115 kilometers, which is more than twice the 50-kilometer range of the CL5 Dynamic. Also, one more important thing to remember is that the CL5 Premium has a V2L function, which the CL5 Dynamic lacks. Now, that basically allows you to plug in your household appliances like fans, laptops, etc. And the car's battery will power those appliances. At the back, it looks very similar to the CL5 Dynamic. You also get this LED light bar over here. So if you press the button over here, it unlocks the trunk, and then a spring mechanism opens the trunk. It's not motorized, so you have to pull it down to close it.
The CL5 has a manually opening trunk. Cargo space is pretty decent at 450 liters, and if you need more space, you can fold the rear seats down. There is no spare tire. It only comes with a tire inflator and repair kit. It also comes with a mobile charger, but unlike the top spec Premium variant, it doesn't come with V2L capability. There is definitely more than enough space in the trunk for our sponsor for today. Introducing the Atto Sport Mobility Scooter. The world's most innovative mobility scooter. It folds into a small suitcase size, and it has wheels so you can move it around like a trolley. It separates into two parts. It has leather seats and grips, an illuminated LCD dashboard, enhanced lighting for extra visibility. You can install optional armrests. It's perfect for seniors as it's easy to lift and unfolds in seconds. It has a maximum speed of 10 kph, shock-absorbing flat-free tires, high ground clearance, advanced braking system. Be free to travel anywhere, land, sea, or air. It has 20 kilometers of continuous driving range. Engineered with flair, designed with passion for performance. Be active, be free, be yourself. Atto Sport, moving life.
Okay, now here on the inside, the Sea Lion 5 Premium looks very similar to the Dynamic. In terms of materials, they're very similar. The top of the dashboard is also soft touch. This is soft touch. You get two-tone leather-wrapped seats. The steering wheel is also leather-wrapped. But you also get a lot of hard plastics here, like on the middle of the dashboard. You get this hard, scratchy plastic with this faux leather texture. But at this price, I'm not going to complain so much about that. You don't see a lot of piano black accents here. Instead, you get this banig-like pattern. You get this weave pattern on the center console, on the center part of the dashboard, also on the door sidings. Not quite as eye-catching as piano black, but it's also not as much of a scratch magnet. And it's also more interesting to look at than just flat, bare plastic. Now, in terms of features, this gets the same screen as the Seal 5 Dynamic. Like the Seal 5 Dynamic and like most BYD models, the screen also rotates. You can set this in horizontal or vertical orientations, and the display adjusts accordingly. Now you get wireless Apple CarPlay, you get wireless Android Auto, and you also get a 360 camera here, which you don't get on the Seal 5 Dynamic. The Seal 5 Dynamic only gets a reverse camera. You have multiple ways of configuring the hybrid system to suit your driving style. For example, so here are your hybrid settings. This setting over here basically tells the car how much battery power you want to preserve. So if it's set to 46%, the car will try to preserve 46% of its battery power. So if we go below 46%, it'll try to prioritize charging the battery. So the engine will turn on more. So you also get a 360 camera here now. As you can see, the image is pretty clear, although you don't get a 3D mode like on most Chinese vehicles. You have multiple views here though that you can choose from. You can also make the car transparent so you can see what's underneath you. Now you don't have a camera underneath the car, it just paints the image as you're driving over the ground. Now you don't get any physical buttons here for adjusting the fan speed or the temperature. And if you want to do it through the screen, it's a two-step process. Like you have to press this button first and do this. Now initially that may seem cumbersome, especially if you're driving. But BYD actually gives us a lot of shortcuts here. Like if you want to adjust the fan speed, you can just use 3 fingers and swipe right like so, or swipe left. And if you want to adjust the temperature, you can just use the same 3 fingers and swipe up and down like so. And another doorway is you can just use the car's voice recognition feature. Like I can say, set the temperature to 20 degrees. And it automatically does that.
Please say it.
Set the fan speed to 1.
The air volume is set to 1.
Close the windows. Rotate the screen.
No problem.
Yeah, so even though all the controls are on the screen, BYD gives us a lot of shortcuts here to make the process a lot more streamlined. Both front seats are leather wrapped, but the driver's seat of the Seal 5 Premium is power adjustable. On the Seal 5 Dynamic, that is manually adjustable. Also, we got a sunroof here on the Seal 5 Premium, which you don't get on the Seal 5 Dynamic. It is not panoramic though, it doesn't extend all the way to the back like on a lot of Chinese crossovers. You have this leather wrapped steering wheel over here. Yeah, you get some extra buttons here for your new features, like your 360 camera buttons over here. Now you don't get ADAS on the Seal 5 Premium. You got a wireless phone charger over here. Now most of your controls, most of your physical controls are on the center console. You have your start button here, you have your shifter. The Seal 5 gets a rotary shifter. I'm not really a fan of rotary shifters, but it's something that you'll probably get used to eventually. You have your EV and HEV buttons here. Now unlike a lot of hybrids, you can drive the car in pure EV mode for as long as you have battery power remaining. So in the case of the Seal 5 Premium, you can drive it for about 115 kilometers before the engine turns on again if you put it in EV mode. If you put it in HEV mode, the car automatically decides when it'll turn the engine on. Yeah, you have an electronic parking brake without a hold. You have a volume scroll wheel over here. Now in terms of storage, the glove box is pretty decently sized. It's also dampened. You have a bit of storage underneath the center armrest. You also have a bit of storage underneath the center console over here. Now you have your USB ports down there. Now curiously, you don't get any USB-C ports in the car, which kind of dates it a little bit. You have a wireless phone charger here, and you also have a 12-volt outlet on this side. The CL5 is one of the most spacious sedans that you can buy for the price. I have loads of legroom over here. The flooring is almost completely flat. There's just a bit of a hump over here. Headroom is also decent. I have about 2 inches, which is not bad for a sedan. In terms of toys, you have 2 air vents. You have 2 USB ports. Like I said, there are no USB-C ports here. They're both USB-A ports. You have a bit of storage over here. Map pockets on both front seats. A foldable armrest with 2 cup holders.
Now, as a daily car, I have very few complaints about the CL5 Premium. It's quiet, it's comfortable. In terms of handling, it is not sporty, but in terms of power, it is actually the most powerful sedan that you can buy for the price. It's not as quick as the GAC Empower from 0 to 100 kph. But when you're coming from a complete stop, this feels a bit more abrupt. It feels the rush of power feels a bit more urgent. Whereas on the GAC Empower, you get most of the power at the top end. On this car, you get all the power the moment you step on the gas. Yeah, so yeah, the steering ratio is not bad, but it just doesn't have a lot of feel. Now the suspension is on the soft side. It can feel a bit boaty. Also, I think it could use a bit more rebound damping. But otherwise, like I said, I have very few complaints about the car as a daily driver. Now, I think with a set of coilovers, you can transform this into a sportier vehicle.
One advantage of plug-in hybrids like the CL5 over regular hybrids is that you can charge the battery at charging stations, and therefore you're not entirely dependent on the engine for charging. You can drive it without using a single drop of fuel as long as you keep the battery topped up from time to time. For our consumption tests, we will test its energy consumption when driven in electric mode, and we'll also test its fuel consumption in hybrid mode. To test the highway energy consumption of the CL5, I drove it in EV mode from QC to Laguna over Skyway and SLEX. It consumed 9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers on the highway, and it got about 11.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers in the city, which are almost the same numbers that I got on the Dynamic. If you charge the car at home at a rate of 12 pesos per kilowatt hour, that would translate to about 108 pesos per 100 kilometers on the highway and 138 pesos per 100 kilometers in the city. Expect the cost to be twice as much if you charge at public charging stations. Now, for comparison, a car that does 20 kpl on the highway will cost you 245 pesos every 100 kilometers at 49 pesos per liter. So if you charge the car at home, you can drastically reduce your running costs. Now, savings can even be greater if you drive mostly in the city. Now, to test its fuel consumption in hybrid mode, I set the remaining SOC to 40% and allowed the charge level to drop below 40% to simulate what it would be like if you drove the car without charging the battery. As for the results, I got about 11.76 kpl in the city and 27 kpl on the highway. So whether you charge the battery or not, you will get very good fuel economy numbers in the CL5, but to really maximize your savings, it really helps to charge the battery from time to time. The CL5 Premium sells for 1,198,000 pesos. That is 250,000 more than the Dynamic. Visually, there are very few things that make the Premium look more special than the Dynamic, save for the wheels, which you can easily replace anyway. The major differences are in terms of battery capacity, power output, and V2L capability. I think that price difference can be justified if you intend to use the CL5 mostly as an EV in the city. Its 115km range means you can do 2 to 3 round trips from QC to Makati without using a single drop of fuel. You can do 1 round trip from QC to Pampanga without using a single drop of fuel. The V2L capability could come in handy during power outages, when you're camping or if you need to work in remote places. But otherwise, if you don't need V2L capability and you're okay with 50 kilometers of EV range, the Dynamic will give you plenty of bang for your buck. Overall, whichever variant you choose, you still get one of the best daily sedans that you can buy for the money.